Right, all right. Another one. So here we are. Another week, another show, another one. But more on that later. Folklore told through song and storytelling are a centuries-old tradition in Afghanistan and continue to thrive today. While Afghan literature can be split into Persian, Turkic, and Pashto, there is a shared tradition and heritage that unites the consciousness of all Afghans and is reflected in the literature. If we want to know what an Afghan is, let us put all the books aside and receive his own unconscious confession from the lips of his favorite poets. The region nowadays called Afghanistan was noted for its poetic language even before the Islamic conquest. In the 7th through 11th centuries, Rumi, born to native Dari-speaking parents, believed that all religions are more or less truth. Rumi's work has been translated into many of the world's languages. The English interpretations of Rumi's work by Coleman Barks has sold more than 500,000 copies worldwide, and Rumi is one of the most widely read poets in the US. The ancient art of storytelling continues to flourish in Afghanistan, partly due to widespread illiteracy. Afghanistan's contemporary literature has deep roots in the rich heritage of both oral composition and traditionally written texts. In the 20th century, Kabul, the capital of the country, became the center for literary figures and publishing. Mahmud Tarzi was the editor of Kabul's first newspaper. He was actively involved in promoting as the national language and providing information and news through his newspaper. His newspaper is attributed as playing a significant role in modernizing Afghan society through its articles. Jules Verne was the first foreign author to publish his books in independent Afghanistan. Contemporary Afghan literature rests upon a rich heritage of both oral and written tradition. The two major languages of Afghanistan is Pashto and Dari. We remember Dari as the language of Rumi and Pashto as the language of Mahmud Tarzi. To recap, we discussed the origins of literature, which came from Rumi, the poet. And then later on, there was the newspaper by Mahmud Tarzi that also pushed literature forward. And then The Field, which is a poetry book, which was published in 1988. More recently, after 2001, we have a gentleman called Khaled Hosseini, another one. He published a bunch of books, but the one we're looking at now is called And the Mountains Echoed. This book was published in 2013, and it's different from his other work in the sense that the stories are told from multiple characters. The book is a collection of short stories, with each of the 9 chapters being told from the perspective of a different character. Built upon the relationship between a 10-year-old boy, a 3-year-old sister, and their father's decision to sell her into a childless couple in Kabul. So, foundation is built upon the relationship between a 10-year-old boy, 3-year-old sister, and their father's decision to sell her to a childless couple in Kabul, an event that ties the various narratives together. So yeah, we established that literature in Afghanistan is largely based off of the oral traditions and literature for back in the day. Literature in Afghanistan can trace its roots back to a poet called Rumi, and it can trace its first renaissance to a newspaper person called Mahmud Tarzi. And Jules Verne was the first foreigner to publish his books in Afghanistan. So that's kind of interesting. Then later on, there is the work a book called The Field, which not Dari, the other language, and well, it's a book of poems and people like it. And we moved on to And the Mountains Echoed. So these are my thoughts on And the Mountain Echoed. Well, the book contains fables and folk tales. It contains Afghani fables and folk tales, which is in a way echoing or okay, I see that title. Okay, in a way, it's paying homage to the oral traditions of the country, and also there was something interesting also, the use of direct translations. So there are metaphors in the book that are direct translations from where it was borrowed from, either Dari or the other language. And it was quite interesting. I liked the use of those metaphors, because it's something you don't necessarily come across often, which would be another reason to read the book. So if you've not read the book, it's pretty grim. I mean, it's not to say that it doesn't have happy moments and all that, but generally the environment and atmosphere is rather bleak. But the interesting thing is how he finds beauty in those in the paragraphs and so on. So each paragraph speaks of finding beauty, a setting characterized by harsh climate, challenging geography, bullies, low technology, a gridiron social structure within a poverty continuum. So it's a tough place to be in, but everybody is very optimistic, and it's an interesting read because of that. Basically, the book finds humanity in a bleak existence. There's also a lot of there's a deep belief in legend and the supernatural. So the supernatural and legend plays a big part in the motivations for most of these characters. There's also reflecting on a former glory, because as we know, Afghanistan is a country that dates back to before the Mongol expansion. So they've been having kings for a long time. So that heritage through time and the various incarnations of whoever was the head honcho there plays a part in the stories. The stories are epic, and as epics would suggest, they span time and space. So you'd go from the rural areas to the city, through various points in history also, where you get to know the different regimes and all that. Yeah, and then if anything, and you were to ask what would you take away from a book like The Mountains Echoed, I would say it's a book that has the poetry of a warrior people. Michael Hirst's filmography is also a good companion piece to this book. And that covers literature. Let's hope that it comes across. Yeah, it's a good one. Let's do visual arts next. Yay! Okay, thank you for watching. See you next time.